The nerds have spoken. Arizona Cardinals, according to analytics, stats, projections, Johnny, they're NFC West favorites going forward.
Get those nerds out of here. I'm ready to flex, baby. Are the cards set for Monday Night Football? We're talking that and more live now. Hello and welcome in live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Give us a 5-star. The boys are back. It's your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Drop us a like. Give us a 5-star. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. I'm Johnny Venerable, my co-host in Studio K, Mr. Brack, Damon, Dawg, fresh behind the mic. We are feeling fresh after a bye week. We're also feeling our presenting sponsor today, our friends at Bet365, the show sponsor extraordinaire. Download the app today. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. I did some traveling over the weekend, Bo, and just full context, I did not have Wi-Fi for the early slate of games. And I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that kind of fresh hell before, but you land and you're like feverishly looking. Did the Rams lose?
Right.
No. Did the Packers lose? No. Did the Vikings lose? No. So I just chalked it up. I'm like, this day's a bust. Well. It wasn't a bust. It wasn't a bust at all. You get to the later slate of games and old San Francisco, big fat loss to one Geno Smith, Bo Brock.
It was great to see. A little muddled down there in the rest of the NFC West land. Up here at the top, it's nice and breezy, right? Beautiful November day here in the NFC West for Arizona Cardinals fans. And then below, they're slumming it together. The Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks. They're all together there at 5-5. But I want to sound a shout out to the entire exclusive member Discord out there. How about D. Roberts, Chris Cole, seeing Gannonite in there? How about our guy Goffey from Australia? You got Brian dropping some really inappropriate stuff down in the exclusive member Discord. But look, everything is going well in Cardinals land. And it's also going great here in the chat. What's going on? Ozzy, Andy, Mike, you got Nando, you got Sick of My Job. I love it. I love seeing everybody in here enjoying a nice little Monday. It's the first non-victory Monday in a long time. It's just because they're coming off. There was no game. There was no game that they could win.
I feel like it's still a victory Monday. When the San Francisco 49ers, everybody's fraud darlings in the NFC are there's Brock Purdy still like top 10 MVP candidate on a lot of betting sites, including our friends at Bet365. What's that about? So when they look as bad and disheveled as they did yesterday, and give Geno Smith his 11 touchdowns, 11 picks this year, a big round of applause for stepping up to the plate. We were texting our guy, Shane Diefenbach, tongue-in-cheek. He's a Seahawk closet fan. And I'm trying to do like the reverse jinx. So I'm like, can Mike McDaniel do anything with his life? Can somebody step up here and get a dub? Geno Smith, right, Mike McDonald. Yeah. Geno Smith was over against the Niners coming into that game as the quarterback for Seattle. It's like, why even try? And I was like, I don't even want to watch this final quarter of play because I know what's going to happen. But then the ultimate thing happened. Geno Smith, miraculous, using his legs, getting the dub. And I don't know. I've already declared the Rams season dead twice. And a lot of people are throwing me shade for it. I'm this close to declaring the Niners season dead. They have road games at Green Bay, at Buffalo. Cardinals are sitting pretty bow atop the NFC West.
Yeah, do we have that final stretch? We had the final 7 weeks there for the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Rams, and the 49ers. Look at that. So the Cardinals, they experienced their bye. Well, you had the Niners lose to the Seahawks. The Rams beat a squeak by the Patriots. And then you take a look at it. It's like the Rams go take on the Eagles, and then the Niners are going to have to try to get right back-to-back weeks against two of the best teams in football, the Packers and the Bills.
It's so gross. I'm sure you saw it too. Everybody declaring the Rams are back because they beat what a lot of people assume is going to be the worst team in the NFL. But because the Patriots are scrappy, people are like, oh my God, did you see Matt Stafford? The Rams are back. They just lost to Tua at home like 4 days before. Can we not do this? I'm sorry. Like every other week.
They're going to ride this roller coaster the entire way through the season. Look at their schedule. So they'll probably lose to Philly. Then they'll mop the floor with the Saints and then get beat handily by the Bills and then lose to the Niners and then beat the Jets. I mean, that they're just going to be riding that entire emotional roller coaster the entire way out.
Let's get Peter Schrager on the show so we can just continually praise McVay. It's, oh my God, Stafford's the MVP. It's like, no, here's the skinny. The Cardinals are up a game, and it might as well be 10 games. This is the division for the Cardinals to lose.
Yeah.
We saw it yesterday. San Francisco was the only real threat given the track record. Kyle Shanahan, in like his last, I don't know, couple of years, November, December, January, go check the math, has lost like one game the last couple of years as the calendar turns post by. They've been that good. So we expected them, even with their adversity, to be rock solid en route to this is going to be a dogfight. Nope. They lose at home to Seattle. They have not beat one team with a winning record. Go look at their wins. Tampa, Dallas, a bunch of teams that the Cardinals are going to play in the second half, like a New England, right? Cardinals get their NFC South team in Carolina. It is right now as well positioned since 2021 for the Cardinals to win this division. But can they finish the job? And I say that, let's cue it up here. For ESPN Analytics, updated percentages, if you're into that sort of thing, Brock, where the Cardinals stand for the NFC West. I know that says playoff division odds here through week 11. The Cardinals still the overwhelming favorite at nearly 60% to win the NFC West, followed by the Niners. And then again, everybody who's just loving on the Rams, they're down there with the Seahawks slumming it.
Yeah, just 10%, actually lower percentage, just 1 percentage point below the Seahawks. Geno Smith not writing back just yet with that extra 1% over the Rams to finish in third place in the NFC West. But I was talking to Aaron Schatz, who's basically the godfather of NFL analytics, and he said this is a two-team race. Like, prepare yourself. This is going to come down to the Cardinals and the 49ers. And it runs through all the scenarios. I mean, and he had the Arizona Cardinals going into week 11 before, a little bit of the shakeup happened where the Seahawks defeated the 49ers, that the Cardinals had a 48% chance of all the simulations that they had run going into this weekend of winning the division. And I think that the Niners suffering that loss hurts their chances significantly based on what we had mentioned, like who they have the next 2 weeks, Green Bay and the Bills. Like if they come out 1-1 in that scenario, which would be at the very least their sixth loss of the season, if not their sixth and seventh loss of the season, it bodes very well for the Arizona Cardinals. Now the Arizona Cardinals, Johnny, have to continue to take care of business in the form of winning their fifth straight game and beating the Seahawks team that had dropped 5 of 6 going into this weekend, 2-0 before beating the 49ers and get them back on the pain train heading south.
First of all, we all have PTSD from the Cardinals being 7-0, 9-1, and not winning the NFC West. So I think that that's a very real thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you need confirmation of how seriously the Cardinals are taking this one game at a time, in the presser today, you were there. Jonathan Gannon basically asked, I don't know if it was by Craig or somebody,
Craig.
Yeah, like what's it feel like basically like with this division being so competitive? And Gannon was just like, doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care.
Do you care? No,
I don't care about that. I mean,
our bonus practice day, we get to practice extra this week, and he's pumped about it.
Love that, man. I mean, it just how was my buddy Aaron Schatz? Because we did an interview with Aaron over the summer, the three of us, and Aaron basically was like, "Yeah, best case scenario, Cardinals would probably win like 8 games." And he saw no reality with the data, with his calculator, to basically conjure up a winning season, or an NFC West title. I bet Aaron's probably like, oh man, the math ain't mathing with these Redbirds.
Right. No, Aaron Schatz, he had his preseason. Here we are, just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and we're like, hey, the Cardinals might be something. And he took his big old spreadsheet, and it was just a gigantic wet blanket on us at the time. And he's certainly come along. And he's the first to admit that, the Arizona Cardinals are a pleasant surprise. And, they're middle of the road to above average in most statistical categories, but this is a team that is taken off in the passing game, and it's separating them from the rest of the pack. And
here he is with his TI-80 calculator.
Yeah, that's
right. Like, oh, I don't know, guys. Carry the 3.
But it's turning like the biggest skeptics that we had. And I think, if you were to look at our off-season content and content leading up to the season, like that was one of the biggest, skeptics that there could be. And you turned him into a believer. I mean, he's got them as the favorite right now, along with what ESPN just produced today. ESPN stats and information has the Arizona Cardinals projected to go 5-2 down the stretch in their 7 games. That is right on par with what you and I did as far as our predictions on Friday.
The Cardinals, the only way I think they're getting in is they got to win the NFC West. Like, as much as we're all kind of bracing for a Cliff Kingsbury Commander collapse, because that's what history in this market would tell you, they play dirt teams. The Commanders don't play anybody good, right? The Vikings have earned it. I think they're going to lock it up at some point. And the Packers. The Commanders and the Packers have already beaten the Cardinals. They have head-to-head tiebreakers versus AZ. Cardinals are going to get in by winning 10 games. Book it. The Cardinals go 4-3 down the stretch. You and I both feel like 5-2 is realistic. Let's just say they go 4-3. Let's see that graphic one more time, Damon, of the remaining schedule. That would mean that the teams behind them would have to go 5-2 minimum. They have to win 5 of their next 7 games. Look at those schedules. Tell me what team's doing that. Then on top of that, not only would they have to win 5 of 7, they would have to assure themselves that they beat the Arizona Cardinals. The Niners would have to beat the Cardinals. The Rams would have to beat the Cardinals. The Cardinals have head-to-head tiebreakers with both of those teams, and they have a tougher strength of schedule right now.
Yeah.
Seattle, I guess, kind of controls its destiny the best because they could theoretically beat the Cardinals twice in the next 2 weeks. Nobody is buying that's going to happen. So I think the Cardinals, conservatively, can you get to 4 wins? And if 2 of them are against Seattle, I think it's a done deal.
When I look at all these schedules, Johnny, and the 4 schedules of the NFC West teams, I look at the 49ers, and I think that they'll win more than this, but I only see one slam dunk victory on their schedule, and that's the Bears in week 14. Outside of that, like, they're going to have to scratch and claw and play really good football the rest of the way against the Packers, the Bills, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Lions before their game in the regular season finale against the Cardinals. Because when you look at, I mentioned the Rams and how they've got that, up and down schedule. They play, a top team and they play a bottom dweller, and that's just the rest of the way out. And you look at the Seahawks, and like they've got 2 bunnies probably left on their schedule between the Jets and the Bears.
Yeah.
So, the Arizona Cardinals, they've got, what I could consider, including the Seahawks, at least 3 very winnable games. Like, it's inexcusable now at this point with what's in front of you to get swept by the Seahawks. That's the big thing for me. Like, you have to avoid, like, and you have, I think, an advantage by playing them in the next 2 out of 3 weeks in order to get, a split at the very least and a sweep at the very best.
They're going to be high off that big emotional win. But I watched most of that game. I'm going to tell you right now, Bo, like San Francisco, I think it said more about them than it did about Seattle. Like, that looked like most of the Seattle games we've seen this year, but the Niners just couldn't put them away through their own mistakes, through their own hurdles. I posted this on Twitter earlier today. Like, Brock Purdy had Debo wide open for the game clinching first down, airmailed them. Kyle Shanahan got really conservative. The Niners were up by, what were they? Up by 3, driving. They were on the side of the field for Seattle. They were ready to ice that game. Geno was mostly terrible until that final drive. I mean, he threw a pick like the first play of the second half, first possession. Didn't throw a touchdown. He's got 11 picks and 11 interceptions on the year. Like he loves to turn the football over. The Niners lost Nick Bosa in that game. Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan just reported he's got a bum shoulder.
Right.
Kittle was out. Debo looks washed. I mean, like McCaffrey can't move. He doesn't have any touchdowns, and the Niners were still in position to win that game.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
The only positive really is Juwan Jennings looks good at the X receiver spot.
Congratulations.
He might be better than Debo. Like, yeah, Brock Purdy completes 21 passes of 28 attempts for like under 160 yards. They're not the same team this season offensively. I mean, obviously it's the big factor there is Christian McCaffrey not being the same guy he's been or he was last year. And then, yeah, it was gross as far as what Geno and the Seattle Seahawks offense was unable to do. And if you can bottle up Kenneth Walker, you should be in a good spot to win the football game. So it's, they played relatively disciplined football for the Seahawks, who are up there in the top 5 as far as penalties. So if you can get them to, get back to making foolish mistakes, pre-snap penalties, that helps you in this game. But like the Seahawks, they got away with one, and the Cardinals should know, like they were able to kind of find a way. Like they didn't have a perfect recipe. They just fought and stayed close in the Chargers game and stuck. Well, even the Niners game before that, the Niners and the Chargers and the Dolphins game, they found a way. You can't let a team like the Seahawks have, come up for air now after, we thought we had them down, or that you thought they were down for the remainder of the season. So you can't leave that door open, especially with another game on your schedule against them 2 weeks later either.
We're going to talk more about this weekend's matchup, plus the return of Darius Robinson, all up around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. We mentioned cards at Seahawks this weekend. Early indications on this betting line, it's fluctuating with our friends at Bet365, hovering right around Bo, a pick'em with a slight home edge to Seattle at -1, 1.5. But again, neutral field or at home, the Cards would be favored. That's what our friends at Bet365 are telling us. What are they telling you? How about some bonus bets? That's what they're telling you. Right now, new customers can choose between 2 offers when they open an account and use Bet365. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Deposit $10 and place a bet of $5 or more. Get $150 in bonus bets. No questions asked. Best time of the year to dabble with our friends at Bet365. We got hockey. We got basketball, college and pros. We got 100% parlay boosts, college football, NFL, whatever you want. Do it with our friends at Bet365. But you got to download the app. You got to use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Again, 5 is going to get you 150 in bonus bets. Find out why, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary with Bet365. You got to be 21 years and older, physically located here in the great state of Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT-STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov, Bo, for more info.
The Redbirds are hot right now, and so are the deals over at Sanderson Ford. Their Black Friday sale is already underway. You got to check it out. Get there before the end of the month, November 30th, to cash in with maybe a new car, new truck, any of the over 900 vehicles they have in inventory there on their beautiful 65-acre lot in the West Valley. Look, Sanderson Ford for the past 70 years has been doing it at the highest level. You got to check it out. They've got the no pressure, no hassle, no nonsense sales approach. So if you're just interested in a vehicle, you just want to check them out and you don't want to have to be pressured into making a sale or not buying a vehicle. You just want to get the information to make the best choice for you, yourself, your family, everybody that's going to be impacted by this. It's perfect. This is the perfect dealership for you. You can just go check it out with zero pressure on you to make a deal there. But you can get the 2024 F-150 trucks for 3.9 APR financing for 66 months, plus 4-grand crash back. How about cash back? Similar savings over $900, new pre- and owned vehicles on the lot. Don't miss out at Sanderson Ford, the Black Friday thank you sale. OAC Ford credit up to $4,000 cash back requires trade-in of over 1995 or newer vehicle. Offers expires November 30th.
Upgrades with Sanderson Ford. Upgrades for the Cardinals defensive line. It was a monumental day, I think, at Cards practice. Bo, you were there. By the way, everybody hit that like, subscribe to PHNX Sports. It's the first time Darius Robinson practiced like on the field with his teammates since early October. And we knew what happened then. He had, one practice and was done for a while. He's back, and by all accounts, feeling good. At least he looked good, Brock.
Yeah, he absolutely did. Like, we've got some footage that I was able to capture out there at Arizona Cardinals practice. Darius back on the field, going up against some sleds, some dummies. Let's take a look at what old Darius looks
You
like.
know, I might have exported this with some sound, so it might cut us off. Give me a second here, and we'll have it.
Okay. Let's hear actually from Jonathan Gannon real quick. I thought it was interesting. Goes into Darius Robinson and, how he's been kind of on the shelf since before the start of the regular season with that calf injury.
He's had a tough road, you know what I mean? He had a tough injury, and he's working his tail off to get back out there. He wants to get back out there. He had a good week last week. Returned to play. All those people did a good job with him. So we'll take it one day at a time.
I mean, we can all kind of read the tea leaves here, and this is what this show can tell you. Like, Darius practiced in early October with his injury, and then it didn't respond well. And so he's been working his way back. I mean, I don't know if you want to call that a re-injury or just potentially needing more time. But, between that and the tragic death of his mother, it was a very, very difficult, probably the most difficult fall he's ever had. And then you couple that with the fact he's never been injured, was consistently healthy at Missouri, and now he's coming back. It's like, this is that today. I don't want to undersell it. Today's a big step for him, regardless of whether he plays this weekend or what the timeline looks like. Like, getting him back out there with his teammates. I mean, I'm sure he'll tell you there's no place he'd rather be right now, is to just kind of be back in the routine. Because when we spoke with him at the Super Bowl last year, when he came, he was available, we brought him onto our show. He is one of the most schedule-oriented people I have ever met in my life. Talking about his regiment, how it revolves around football, faith, and family, constantly around the clock. This isn't a guy sitting around with his feet up. So I'm sure when that was removed and that structure that he's always known was taken away from him, like, I can't imagine the damage that was done. So just getting him back with his teammates is really nice to see that footage, Bo.
Yeah, and take what I'm going to say relative to the conversation about the game of football, but the two main constants in his life were taken away from him.
Yeah.
One more tragic, way more tragically than the other. And it's, when you make your transition from, the collegiate world to the professional world, and we just can all, from our own experience, remember that, and how sometimes that can be a tough transition. And then you take that and you face the most adversity you've ever faced before, potentially. I mean, it's a tough recipe. And, I think that, this is Gannon really acknowledging that. Like, it's been a tough road for him. And I think that, him getting back to a comfort place for him, and that's just back on the practice field, something that that's his safe place. It's only going to, help him, I think, get back, get himself in a position where he's going to start to feel better, overall. I'm sure it's going to put him in a position to hopefully, heal a little bit. And, the Arizona Cardinals can be the beneficiary from him in adding him to this defensive front whenever it may be. Now, that's going to be, I think, the question going forward. This is a step in the right direction. This is a great sign. But the guy realistically hasn't been on a football field consistently since before the regular season. The final, week before the regular season, he went down, and he hasn't been out there consistently enough. And to play in such a grueling position like he does on the defensive front, where it's so physical, getting in football shape is so important for him.
Well, I also just feel like the Cardinals should be able to win this game Sunday without Darius Robinson. Frankly, they're coming off a bye. Their defensive line looked good against the Jets and the Bears, right? Like, try to string together another strong performance and get him back maybe for Minnesota, I think is realistic. Like, I mean, who knows? He was, limited today out there with his teammates, but to your point, football shape, getting that, ramping him up, same thing that they've been doing with Jonah Williams the last couple of weeks, like, just continue to be smart, and they will be, but they ought to be able. I know Kenneth Walker's a really good player, but between Dante Stills and LJ Collier and company and Roy Lopez, and the way the Cardinals linebackers have been filling, like, you ought to be able to do enough damage. And I just, right now, you and I have talked about this off air. I think the two keys to the rest of the season in a kind of a unique way are the production of the 2 first-round picks. Like, if Marvin takes his game up a level the second half of this year, and I expect him to, especially with the quality of some of the opponents defensively aren't being great. And if you just get a little bit from Darius Robinson, 3.5 sacks, maybe if he participates, he's filling tackle for loss. I don't think it's hyperbole to say like Marvin and Darius could project or vault you to the NFC West. I'm not saying that they can't win it without those players providing that kind of impact. But I mean, you look at it, Kyler Murray's got to stay hot, and he needs his weapons to produce, Marv and Trey McBride and company. And then defensively, like we have, I think, a lot of answers on the back seven. There's still some questions up front.
Yeah. Look, I mean, this is going to be perceived as a polarizing take because of who was drafted in front of them. But there are people within the organization that believe, Johnny, and you have this sourced, that Darius Robinson is the biggest impact maker of the 2024 draft class.
He was before he got hurt. He was he was the best rookie at training camp. I mean, we reported that. Anybody could see that with their eyes. Like, and Marvin was great. But Darius ran around. He looked like Superman out there. He looked like the Hulk.
And that was the thing today. It was just to see him on the field. Now, the first time that he returned to practice and then experienced the discomfort, and we haven't seen him since until today, he was a little bit more kind of behind the scenes, standing with the defensive line coach, looking on as other people played, participated in drills. Do we have the footage now, Damon? Let's take a look at Darius Robinson back out there on the Cards practice field. This is him just getting warm in the Cardinals bubble at their Tempe facility. Just already, walking off the bus type player as he stands there with the other defensive lineman. Then he's hitting the sled. It's
a good rep there.
Getting off that. Yeah. This was actually a better rep. He went back and did that one. And then a little false start there. It's okay. Getting back into it. And then it's a bad day to be one of those inflatables right there.
Tackling bags.
Another one. But he looks like he's spry. He doesn't look like he's limited at all. Doesn't even have his calf, wrapped or covered or anything.
When you sent me that, like that looks way better than what I thought he'd be doing. Because you remember, like before the bye, I mean, he wasn't doing anything. I mean, he was working to get back. I don't want to discredit his effort, but like it's gone from 0 to 100, I think, pretty fast. And that's promising. And this guy hasn't forgotten how to play football. This guy was one of the best defensive players in the SEC last year, and it carried over. And I think that's why our confidence has never wavered, because I think one of the biggest question marks you always ask with rookies is, number one, can they play, right? Can they play at this level? Because sometimes you quickly identify, hey, Andy Isabella, like you probably can't play consistently at this level, certainly where you were drafted. With Darius, that's never been a question. Like he dominated, I'm gonna emphasize, he dominated training camp. He was their best defensive lineman in training camp, edge rusher, defensive tackle. He was better than Zaven Collins. He was better than Justin Jones. He was their best, most explosive defensive lineman. So when that's removed from the equation now, and he has to get healthy, it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say like, yeah, I don't know what he's going to look like on Sunday. If he's healthy, he will help this team objectively. So like he will go out there and produce and be behind the line of scrimmage. And again, like, could it start this week? Like, what do you need to see? What do the Cardinals need to see for him to be able to play this week? Or you think there's no shot?
Nah, I really do think it's a long shot. Don't you? I mean, like he hasn't consistently practiced for a very, very long time. And I know it's like the defensive line, it's not, rocket science, but this is an NFL system, what they're running up front. And, for him to get they get the bonus practice. Maybe that helps him a little bit. They're off tomorrow and then they're back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before hitting the road and flying to Seattle and taking on the Seahawks. So, he has the potential to get, 4 practices under his belt this week, but wouldn't it put him in a really good situation if, you just take this week as, hey, you're getting up, get your sea legs, and then next thing you know, whenever they play the Vikings, that's when you're going to make your debut in week 13.
I think you ought to be able to, again, coming off a bye, to do enough to rattle Geno Smith and stymie this offense. The Cardinals' run defense, save for at Miami, the game we were at, where they still won, has looked really good. Like, can it translate on the roads? Seattle's a tough place to play, and their crowd's going to be juiced after last week, but Cardinals are a better team. They have the better quarterback. They have the better head coach. They ought to win this game. And again, like, can you get Darius to Minnesota and get him ready? Will that game in Minnesota be flexed to Monday Night Football. We anxiously await that. We are
Mhm.
supposed to hear today. More on that right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. Monday Night Football, a nice nationally televised game, could be money for the Cardinals. Speaking of money, help yourself, up your financial acumen with our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union, Arizona Cardinals, PHNX Sports, and me, Johnny Venerable, the Venerable household. It's phenomenal. I ditched my old credit union years ago. I've never looked back. That's because Desert Financial Credit Union has a team of financial experts helping to upgrade your financial acumen, tailored situations for you, real life people like you and me, helping us achieve our financial goals and dreams. And it's not just a one-off ATM transaction. They've got checking accounts, obviously, but what about a savings account, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more? Big ticket life decisions. Don't do that on your own. How about a team that's ready to help you for free? Plus, if you're an Arizona sports fan, there's no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial Credit Union. It's the only place to show your team spirit every single time you make your purchase. I was back out east visiting some family over the weekend, Bo. I was repping my Desert Financial debit card, and I got some oohs and ahs. Let's just say that. Plus, if you're a member of the Red Sea, you'll want to enter the Desert Financial Bird Gang giveaway sweepstakes, a prize pack that includes 4 tickets to a Cardinal game on December 29th, road trip airfare, hotel accommodations, theme park tickets, plus a $2,000 Visa gift card. Get in the game. Enter today. DesertFinancial.com/giveaway.
Love it. It's such a handsome looking debit card, that Cardinals debit card. Also, what's handsome looking is my branded Bills hat. I got the teal Arizona flag, state symbol. Looks great. I actually was out yesterday in the wild with all of you crazy people, and this guy says nice lid, and on his front of his hat, it was not the same hat, but on the side of it, it was a branded Bills hat, just the same as I had, elevating each other's brands there and elevating each other's confidence. That's what it's all about. We love our friends over at Branded Bills. Can't wait to see the PHNX swag that they have in the near future for us. Check it out right now. Elevate your brand and save some money while doing so. 20% off your first order by going to brandedbills.com and use the code PHNX on your first order. That's 20% off your first order at brandedbills.com using the code PHNX. Tap into the campus collection, ASU, U of A, GCU, whatever you want to do. Get involved with this local company from Mesa that's going to help you elevate your brand. Branded Bills.
Everybody be sure to smash that like button. The goal here on a football Monday, a victory Monday of sorts as we dance on the Niners' grave, is 500 likes. Let's get that number up to the big 500 for smoldering Bo Brack. That looks like a guy, a showstopper, a headliner. And speaking of that, are the Cardinals going to headline Monday Night Football on week 13? That's the question we want to know, Bo Brack. We've kind of been sniffing around. Right now, the week 13 game for Monday Night Football, 2-8 Cleveland at 6-5 Denver. It's a week from Monday, or 2 weeks from today, or is it a week from today? I think it's 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today.
And the Cardinals, the day before, play at Minnesota. A matchup against 2 teams with winning records. Minnesota's having a really nice year. So we're sitting here, and I do think that if the game gets flexed, the Cardinals are the prime option. But you made a good point before the show. Is the ESPN or the network's going to fall for this gross Bo Nix showcase? Because initially I thought the game was in Cleveland. It's not. It's in Denver right now. Are they going to pull a game from the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, will the Manning cast let them too? Because you got a big Broncos stomper in good old Peyton Manning. Does he just want to get on TV and slobber all over Bo Nix because he's the trendy rookie this season? I hope not. I mean, for the rest of the audience outside of the Broncos nation, I think nobody wants to have to be Clockwork Orange, have their eyes pried open and have to watch this to finish up week 13 of the NFL season. Like, this is an exciting season. Nobody wants to watch the Browns play any more football on primetime. They have a primetime game later this week. Like, they kick off next week. So we would be staring down back-to-back weeks with the Browns on primetime. Nobody wants to see that. So they've got Thursday night football and then potentially Monday night football the following week. Just like don't subject NFL fans to that. They already have to put up with a lot of crap with your scheduling in who you decide to put on primetime. Like we're in a stretch here with a bunch of Dallas Cowboys games on primetime. It's really disgusting. Like we've got Dallas and the Giants on Thanksgiving. That's one of the prime games.
And you have to keep it. You can't
do it. So why don't you at least introduce your audience? And look, the Vikings are a passionate fan base, and the Cardinals, the Red Sea is getting pumped up about this team. Why not introduce a nationwide audience to one of the exciting teams this season? Two of the exciting teams this season.
This could be a playoff preview. Like the Cardinals, if they win the NFC West, they're going to host a wild card team like Minnesota, like the Packers, potentially like the Commanders. Like, do people now want to see that matchup? Like Kyler Murray in a dome. I know it's against Sam Darnold, but like, give me a break with this Bo Nix. You know, I know I picked the Falcons to beat the Broncos, and we'll tackle that on Hold or Fold the Line on this Wednesday. But I just feel like name, 5 skill players for the Denver Broncos. Name the starting quarterback for Cleveland in 2 weeks. It could be somebody complete. It could be DTR. Like, what are we doing here? The Browns are one of the worst watches in the NFL right now. They traded away Amari Cooper. They traded away Darius Smith. There's talk that Kevin Stefanski could get fired. Like, that's the definition of, hey, it's the last game of the week. I guess we'll just have Browns at Broncos on in the background. Whereas, like, Justin Jefferson versus Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride versus TJ Hawkinson, there is infinitely more star power. So we were told today we would know definitively, like it was going to come out, and people are bracing for it. Our friends at DMVR, they're hearing the same thing. If it gets flexed out, it's going to be today. So my question for you, Bo, is if it doesn't get flexed out, like is the league just going to come out and push it to Schefter like this game's staying as is?
Yeah, it's very possible. I think no news is bad news as far as the potential of getting another primetime game. Because yes, like we've heard it from multiple people. Chris Thomason, who covers the Broncos for the Denver Gazette out there, he was the one that initially broke that today was the day. And then we've heard it from multiple sources that it's, all parties involved are supposed to hear something, and it's all quiet. So I can't imagine that that's a good sign, but maybe they wanted to, let Monday Night Football tonight have its due. It's a tough game. It's the Cowboys and then CJ Stroud and the Texans. Maybe they'll save, a potential change for tomorrow's news cycle. I don't know. I mean, it really is strange that we don't know any more information on it as of right now.
Well, and again, if you probably ask the Cardinals, they'd probably tell you, as cool as it is to play on primetime, like they would just like to keep their schedule as is. Like they had their bye. They are, creatures of habit. They're going to play and then get back early. It's an early kickoff game on the East Coast. They've done very well with those under Jonathan Gannon. Like, Monday Night Football, the only one they've played was at home, and it was on ESPN Plus. So it would really kind of throw their schedule off. But again, you want to be a major player, you got to play on nationally televised games. So it will be disappointing if they don't flex it, because if they don't, it's just out of pure ignorance with the Broncos brand. And again, love our partners at DMVR. I'm sure they're hoping they get to keep that game. But to your point, Bo, they have multiple nationally televised. We already have to, like Bo Nix picking apart Atlanta yesterday. Like, is Bo Nix going to go on some kind of gross run at the end of the year where he's throwing multiple touchdowns per game? Like, the Broncos are at best, they're a 7th seed in the AFC. You're talking about two teams, if you flex the Cardinals and Vikings, that could be the 3 and the 5 seed in the NFC at Minnesota, which you mentioned, electric atmosphere.
It would be a misdiagnosis of Bo Nix's star power. Like it's exciting, right? To see a guy who is a star at the collegiate level translate to the NFL level in the way that Nix is doing it. Like, he's making me look foolish for some of the things I said about him in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. But you're right. Like, you've got the ability to tap into a Vikings fan base that's very fanatical, and then you've got the Cardinals fan base that it wants to see more of their team and wants to see them on a national stage. And I know there's a sect of Cardinals fans that want them to stay and remain under the radar, but look, that's those days are a thing in the past. Like, the days of the Cardinals in prime time, and the struggles the potential hurdles that come with that. Like, Gannon's not going to put his team in a tough position going into Monday Night Football.
You did say some nasty things about Bo Nix. I never did. I just want the record to
right
show
there
that.
with me.
No, never.
We were both yelling about
I'm pretty
how
sure
bad he was.
I remember saying Bo Nix, he's the quarterback you won this draft. Was it
You both said that he looked awful at the Senior Bowl and, quote, was skipping balls with his rag arm.
No, that was Bo.
Came out of your mouth.
I think you missed it. That was just Bo who said that.
Little did I know it was part of Sean Payton's master plan. He was out there just throwing crappy footballs so he could slip to 12th overall.
Here's what this situation is reaffirming is that Sean Payton's a really good head coach. We knew that. That's why this podcast wanted Sean Payton. Is he a you-know-what hole? Absolutely. And I agree with Ozzy in the chat. I think Bo Nix is – Teddy Bridgewater was once undefeated with Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton can do a lot for a quarterback. We've seen that. And listen, Vance Joseph's having a really nice year. Zach Allen, ex-Cardinals, going to make the all-pro team potentially. He's the number 2 defensive tackle in the NFL. So, again, they got some good stuff going, and give them credit. They're competitive in a very difficult division, sans the Raiders, right? So, but again, it's a matchup. It's not a showcase of one team. The Browns are unwatchable. No one wants to watch the Cleveland Browns. Their fans don't even – they're trying to fast forward this season, trying to figure out what to do with the Watson It's a complete non-factor of a game.
When I put that out there were Browns fans in my mentions like, oh, thank God.
Get this off.
Yeah, right? Don't expose this team and represent Cleveland on a national stage. Thank the good Lord football gods that we're not going to have a primetime game where we just make a fool of ourselves once again.
It would be pretty wild for the Cardinals if they can continue this trajectory, and there could be other games flex. We don't know. And they get to the playoffs, and let's just say right now they're the 3 seed. Can you imagine the 3 seed in the NFC with Kyler Murray at quarterback and Marvin and Trey McBride don't have a primetime game this year? That's nuts. I'm not sure that's ever happened. I'm not count ESPN Plus. That game does not count. No one saw it, right? Remember that? People couldn't use the app.
So, Johnny, we were talking about Damon, Craig, and I on the Thursday show while you were conveniently off. You just needed that rest day.
Yeah.
It was a load management for your boy, but we were talking about dream playoff scenarios, and I said getting up to 3 would be ideal for the Arizona Cardinals. To get up to one or 2, that's pretty unrealistic, right? But as far as getting to 3, which was very realistic, and it happened in a matter of it was when they were idle, and the Falcons were awful on the road against the Broncos. What would be your dream scenario? Because the thing about 3 that's different than 4, when you're taking on that 5 seed, that's the best non-division winning team. Probably it's usually the 3rd best team in the conference that you're taking on there at 5. So I think to go and you would be the 3 seed playing the 6 seed is ideal.
I think the 6 seed's going to be Washington. I think Minnesota is too well coached. I think the worst case scenario, Packers, Jordan Love, and they've got a resume last year, LaFleur and company. I know Washington beat up on Arizona. I think that would be very difficult for them to do again. And I think that Washington to me is barely going to get in. I think, and they have an 88% chance, but I think it's going to be much more difficult than people think. I think Washington, you want to play Washington again. And I think you want Jaden Daniels again. You want another crack at playoff Cliff. You can exercise. Can't you just envision it? Exercising the demons, beating Cliff, and then as the 3 seed, assuming Philadelphia wins the number 2 spot, I would say then going and playing Sirianni and Gannon beating Sirianni in the divisional round, and then Cards at Lions NFC Championship game. I mean, that's the most electric scenario that this lowly podcast host can ever think of. Beating Cliff, beating Sirianni, Cards at Lions, take 2 at Ford Field. Sign me up, baby. Turn me up.
I don't know. I think Washington has a really good chance to get up to 5.
Seriously?
Yeah. Listen to their schedule after they lost to Philly.
Okay.
They play Dallas. They play Tennessee. They play New Orleans. They play Philly.
I could see them losing to New Orleans, by the way.
No. In Atlanta and then Dallas again.
The Cowboys completely falling apart really hurts the Cardinals. It does. Basically just no showing the rest of the year.
It's like giving the top teams in the NFC East steroids, like just to have the ability to just pummel their opponent, and they're facing, Dallas in the Philly in Washington, just turn around and just beat on Dallas for the next the next couple games.
I think the Vikings, to me, they're so well coached. I mean, especially if the Vikings beat the Cardinals, like they're already at 8 wins, man. Like, and here's Minnesota's schedule the rest of the way. I know they got some divisional games. They're at the Bears this weekend, then Cardinals, Falcons, Bears again. Then they have Seahawks, Packers, Lions. So you might be right. The Vikings could, but again, all these teams are winning 10+ games, which underscores the importance for the Arizona Cardinals. They have to win the NFC West. If the Cardinals are trying to F around and get a wild card, you better win 11 games. Well, if you're winning 11 games, you're winning the division anyway. I just, there's not a scenario in which the Cardinals make the playoffs without winning the NFC West, but we would rather win the West here because the fan base here deserves a home playoff game. But yes or no, you think the game's going to be flexed? I'll put you on the spot right now. Week 13.
Man, I mean, the fact that we didn't hear anything, I think is like I said, a bad sign. I think that they would have prepped the Broncos, and there's some news insiders that break information around that team all the time. And I haven't seen anything. I mean, what's our guy Benjamin Albright saying these days? I mean, is there any sign that they're gonna flex that game? And if they're not gonna do it now, I thought that this was kind of the deadline.
The more you spoke about the Manning cast factor, which is gross, that shouldn't matter. Like, that's going to matter. Like, hey, let's probably honor Peyton at halftime. We'll probably do some stupid shtick. We'll get, Bo Nix's stats compared to a rookie Peyton Manning stats. It's going to be gross. And they're already prepping for it right now. The Browns will have like 2 sub bullets about whether Stefanski will get fired and could Jameis be the interim QB while they wait out the Watson contract, and that'll be it. So, yeah, I mean, I've been very confident that the game was going to be flexed and the Cardinals were going to get that spot.
Yeah.
And that the team was going to hear today. But to your point, I mean, it's 5:15 here in Arizona. Like they have to be able to know so that they can prepare the team and get their travel taken care of. Right. I mean, you're going to the game. Craig's going to the game. We got to make sure all this is done. You're just going to the game. Yeah.
I'm filling in. I'm subbing in for Craig. I got my airfare already. I'm ready for a Sunday afternoon game. So I got to figure out if I got to pivot and make some plans with my rowdy friends on Monday night. So
you're a rowdy boy. We got more fun, your super chats, and then we're going to talk a little kickers situation right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. Rowdy boys and girls need their neon signs, I would say. That's a fair assessment. Speaking of neon signs, try our friends at Saturday Neon. Started by 2 college friends, Saturday Neon, they make officially licensed collegiate logo LED signs. Perfect for your house, man cave, your bar, office, dorm room, fan cave, whatever you want. They've got it right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, check out the new Essentials collection featuring almost 50 of the biggest schools across the country and counting for just like $75, man. They have both ASU and U of A. ASU white hot in football. U of A, it's basketball season. Unlike traditional neon, these LED signs, they won't break or shatter, but they give you that classic uniform glow that you know and love. And again, for that price tag, like anybody can afford them. And they last up to 100,000 hours. They're perfect gift this holiday season. We're fired up. I can't wait to buy one. My son wants one. PHNX is the bonus code. PHNX 10% off at SaturdayNeon.com. Don't let your holiday season go dim. Level up with Saturday Neon today.
Oh, man. I would love for one of those to be under my tree. Saturday Neon little gift.
Yeah.
Our wife is watching here. Also, a little gift that is coming your way this Sunday in the form of watch parties back at Gila River.
Yes,
it's been too damn long, my friends. How long has it been? Like, when was the last time we were over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos watching a game?
This team was under 500. That's how long it was.
Was it the Niners game? No, it was the Packers game. Oof,
Packers game.
Just completely got rid of that one. Like, just blocked it out of my memory. But you can join us. Be there with us. Enjoy the Cardinals taking on the Seahawks in a huge divisional showdown. enjoy it with some like-minded Cardinals fans, PHNX Cardinals community. We're going to be there all day Sunday, hanging out, watching this game. We've got the pregame, the halftime, and the postgame show all live right there. Gila Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass. Food and drink specials, giveaways, RSVP for free. Go phnx.com/events.
Everybody drop a like. The goal, 500 likes here on a football Monday, a victory Monday of sorts. We're going to jump into your super chats in just a second. But I threw something up on Twitter earlier today, Brack, pertaining to the Cardinals kicker situation. So if you haven't been following this, so Matt Prater has been on the IR for a little while, right? Yeah. He remains on the IR. I don't know what the Cardinals are going to do with Matt Prater because, again, could they keep him on IR? Could they activate him? Could you carry 2 kickers? Here's what I do know. The Cardinals are sticking with Chad Ryland. Like, Chad Ryland right now is the guy. Now, could he miss 4 kicks on Sunday? They could reevaluate that. Sure. But they feel like they have found, knock on wood, like the future kicker of their franchise. This was a guy who was a 4th-round pick for a reason. He was drafted by Bill Belichick. There's New England ties, of course, with Austin Ford. Give Austin Ford credit. I did not like the acquisition at the time. But since that block kick, he has been money. And you talk about having a young guy under contract now, somebody that had the collegiate credit, had the resume, has a monster leg, as we've seen. It's not just finesse kicks. I mean, he's knocking them in from 50 plus, and he's knocking them in crunch time. He's been a big-time clutch kicker. So there is significant momentum here for, like, they're going to ride this out. I don't know what that means for Matt Prater, unfortunately for him. And I don't think you can just let him go because we've seen how teams in this division specifically have struggled with the kicking game.
Yeah, so much so Deebo Samuel's pushing long snappers, and it's creating all sorts of fiery sideline exchanges. And I mean, at the end of the day, though, if you've got your guy and he's a weapon for you, and I think Chad Ryland has emerged as a weapon for them, like at the end of halves, like this is a team that only needs to get a few yards. It's like if it's 3rd and forever and they just need a few yards to get Ryland within his comfortable distance, which seems to be inside the stadium anywhere. I mean, that's a good little weapon to have. He's really tapping into what the Patriots envisioned in selecting him in the 4th round as a place kicker only in the 23 draft. Like, this wasn't like a couple drafts ago. It was 1 draft removed from the most recent one. And like to just settle in potentially on a team that's expected to make a run for the next couple of years, for the foreseeable future. Yeah. Why not lock in somebody you feel comfortable with? Like, you see it all around the league and how hit and miss and hot and cold, kickers can be. Like, Justin Tucker is finally like missing kicks after having such a long, prestigious career. Like, if you can find a guy that you feel, confident in, you hold on to him. And they had that. They got that from Prater as a free agent signing the last couple seasons. But fortunately, he's the oldest guy on the roster. He's 40 years old. Is it like, do you bring him back for a couple weeks to show him the respect, or do you ride the hot hand at the kicking position who could be your place kicker of the future? I think you just err on the latter.
Yeah, and this is an indictment of Matt Prater. He's 40 and he's a free agent. And it's like they found somebody who they feel like, to Bo's point, they can build around. Cardinals know special teams when they see it. Like, I think if this was, peak Bruce Arians, respectfully, or even like, early on in the Steve Wilkes Cliff days, Jeff Rodgers is an elite special teams coordinator. The Cardinals have some of the most fun. They're the best special teams, I'm willing to say, that I've watched in my adult life following this team. Kick coverage, punt coverage, the punter's exceptional. And then does it shock anybody that you get Chad Ryland around this, set of coaches and his confidence is back? Like, that's the end of the day with kickers. Yeah. And you look at last year with him in New England and the dumpster fire that was going on. They were bad. Belichick was on the way out. They couldn't score points. There's a lot of pressure on him. He goes 16 of 25 with a 64% hitting field goals, right? And he was actually pretty good, 20 to 40 yards out, but it was 40 to 50 plus. He was terrible. And this year, after having that first field goal blocked, just settled in and he's been lights out. Here are his numbers, Bo. 11 of 12, 6 for 6 from 30 to 39, 2 of 3 from 40 to 49. This is the money stat. 2 of 2, 50 plus yarders. And again, they're all close. They're all like easy made. We were in the end zone at Hard Rock when he made that game winner. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Same thing against the Chargers. And he was the NFC Offensive Player of the Month.
Yeah, we love our Chad. I mean, the one that he made from 58, that thing would have been good from beyond 60.
I mean, you make an argument it won them the game before he made a game winner. Like they probably don't win that game without that.
Right.
Think about the confidence they have in him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's coaching, that's scouting, that's being prepared. Like we had zero clue that Chat Ryland had that in him going into that game. And then he comes out here and is like, Drew Petzing on 3rd and like 21, I think it was, because they stalled out to open the second half. He's just like, get 6 yards. Let's give the place kicker a chance at it, and they get points, and then that just kind of gets the offense going. And you're right, it propelled them to put him in a position to hit the walk-off game winner.
Yeah. Everybody, be sure to drop a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. Let's jump in to some super chats. Bo Brock, I love this one. $10. Sick of my job. Jersey Watch, day 207. I have searched long and hard for any signs of life, but alas, no change. I will keep searching for the greater good. Hashtag MHJ.
It's tough. Those letters from home on the Jersey Watch continues. All those out there standing their post. We salute you. Thank you. And we do wish that we do find some sort of resolution here shortly, but there is not one in sight.
Can I tell you what might even be more disheartening than even the MHJ jersey saga? And I think this is why a lot of us, we should root for this team to be on national TV. Go to like a Shields or a Dick's in Arizona, and there are usually only 2 jerseys that are available, Kyler Murray and Budda Baker. How is Trey McBride's jersey not flipping everywhere in this city? I mean, he is arguably overall your best player right now.
Right.
And he may be the best tight end in the NFL. You can't get an 85 jersey outside of being at the stadium or ordering online. His jersey ought to be everywhere. I think James Conner's jersey should be available. Like I know people are hesitant to watch this team on the national stage because of the history, and I don't push back on that. We want people outside of this market to want Cardinal stuff and paraphernalia. Mm-hmm. Make it easier for them to do that. I can't believe that. You go into Shields right now here in Arizona, it's Kyler, it's Budda. Come on, we got to be better than that.
No, it used to be just Kyler in Hollywood, right? Yeah.
The guy at Shields told me before the regular season, he was like, we have a section that would have been like Marv's section had his jersey been ready, but unfortunately that never came to pass.
Only way to rep 18 is the 18 collection, baby.
Right.
AZ Wardinals. It's Cardinals with a dub, which they seem to come by now each and every week. D-Rob will look great next to Myles Garrett next year, Johnny.
That's how we should be thinking. The Arizona Cardinals going big C, get big game hunting. I don't know if they can pull it off, but I do believe like they're going to be swimming in that pond. If those kind of players are made available, I think Cardinals. I don't think the Cardinals are going to have interest.
The only person that's been bold enough to put together a Myles Garrett trade package was Mike Tannenbaum, and he's terrible at any job he does.
It's like he's just like the answer is already yes before I even put it out there. Remember that? He was like, whatever you want. It's all
Mike Tannenbaum is like every star player, his eyes light up. He would be the type to pull a Mike Dick like trade every pick in the draft.
Yeah.
You would have to be sure that you're a Myles Garrett away though. Or whomever, Micah Parsons, or you would have to be sure, like, because again, you're talking about multiple first round picks for the next couple of years. And here's the problem is, Bo, like I've seen Austin Ford with first round picks, he's pretty flipping good at them. So again, you're telling that
overall, we'll see how good he is. I mean, sounds like he's going to be a really good addition to this team. But if he's hitting on 27th overall, he's already, as far as second round picks, we've seen good things from Melton. We still have, it's incomplete on BJ Ojulari. We know how he's doing really well in the third round pick part. But look, if they get to a position though where they're going to consistently pick in the 20s, those first round picks, it would take multiple of them to get a guy like Myles Garrett. they would ease the sting of it, because like Myles Garrett would be better than anybody you get in this year's first round by a lot, except that you'd be paying Myles Garrett a lot. And then you would also have, whoever you would be eyeing in the next year's draft late, hopefully in the first round, that, the Cleveland Browns would probably hope can help their rebuild.
If you're watching with our friends at Samsung, jump on over to gophnx.com. The party continues here on a football Monday. Again, Samsung, jump over, gophnx.com. And as my co-host mentioned, become a diehard. Shop the number 18 collection right now. No better time to sign up. And again, rep your number 18 collection or any PHNX sports paraphernalia this Sunday at our watch party. You get a drink on us here at PHNX Sports. We want to see everybody out for this watch party. We want to see you in droves. And again, read Craig Morgan's work at gophnx.com. He's got a new piece that just dropped today. And I believe you have to be a diehard to read it. I promise you, it is worth it. Sharp talk, ex-Cardinal daughter making up for time lost during decades-long addiction. Actually, it's free right now. So how about that? Gophnx.com, become a diehard, join the exclusive member Discord. So fired up to welcome all the new diehards here over the last couple of weeks. But I'll make my prediction right now. I have no merit on this. This is just a guess. Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, I think, are under contract with their teams. I think they signed extensions.
Mm-hmm.
Micah Parsons has not been signed to anything. So if Dallas flames out, if Dallas maybe would want to come up for a Shedeur Sanders, or if they want to retool their roster, I mean, I think it would make more sense to say, well, we haven't paid Micah anything, and we feel like we're going to go in a different direction. So just by that math alone, I feel like he would be somebody that would have interest from both sides.
Micah Parsons?
Just because he hasn't signed an extension yet. So, like, why haven't they signed him yet?
Right.
He's had sacks like each of the first 4 years.
What's the different? Well, why would you want to why is that more appealing to the Cardinals specifically when they want somebody who's probably going to be on relative to pass rushing contracts? Like Micah Parsons is going to reset the market.
I think the Cardinals are going to have an interest in big ticket edge rushers via trade. I'm talking about the likelihood of those teams trading said player.
Got it.
And I think Myles Garrett is the face of that franchise, and Max Crosby is the face of that franchise. Micah hasn't been paid yet. They have CD, they have Dak, they've got other issues. They have a lot of issues. Like, that would make a lot of sense. That Chandler Jones got traded by Bill Belichick because he fell out of favor. He didn't get a contract. So that's why I would put Micah first.
How about our guy Merv jumping in with the $1.99 super chat? Found out the Cards waived Shane Diefenbach. Oh man, probably came to their senses, but yeah, they did. They waived Charlie Heck, as Merv pointed out on Twitter, is a doppelganger for our guy Shane Diefenbach.
Shane Diefenbach, who I want to give a little apology to, because again, we were in a text thread yesterday, and I was dogging the Seahawks head coach, and Shane was trying to spend time, enjoying the weekend with his family, and I tried to make him feel bad. And you know what? The Seahawks stepped up, not only for Shane, but for this podcast. So we appreciate that.
All right. Well, it's very big of you.
I'm the biggest.
So big. Read Josh's super chat here.
A lot of Card fans, $4.99. Thank you so much, Josh. We appreciate you. Josh, friend of the program. A lot of Cards fans online saying we lose week 18. I don't see it. 49ers play the Lions Monday, then fly to AZ to play us. We murk them, right? I'm hoping, Josh, that obviously they win. I'm hoping that game does not matter. I'm hoping that the Cardinals, if the Cardinals take care of business, Josh, and we've seen the Niners schedule, that game should mean nothing. The Cardinals should take care of business against the Seahawks. They, flip a coin against Minnesota, beat New England, beat the Panthers, beat the Rams. That game doesn't mean anything. Now, if that game means something and it gets flexed and all this stuff, I think it's probably a coin flip. You get Kyle Shanahan's a Super Bowl caliber head coach. At that time, what does the Niner roster look like? Is McCaffrey up and running? Can Kittle survive the next 7 weeks? Like, the story of the Niners season, and I like to dog on the Niners and Brock Purdy, is injuries. Ayuk, who was maybe their best offensive player last year, not named McCaffrey, is out for the year. He's gone. Their defense has lost Javon Kinlaw. They've lost, the other linebacker next to Fred Warner. Ufunga's been hurt. They had a corner, tragically, I think, lose his infant and has not been back to the team, like the death of a child. And then offensively, and then Nick Bosa's hurt now. And then offensively, McCaffrey has Achilles issues in both legs. Like they're just not a healthy team right now. And we've said it time and time again, Bo. These teams that have lengthy postseason runs, eventually it catches up to you. You're playing like an extra half a season, and all the wear and the Cardinals, we know, we've experienced this, have been done every year since 2021, right at the start of the playoffs. The Niners have practiced and played games a month into January, into February, the last couple of years. At some point, they're an old team. You're going to break down. McCaffrey's an old 20-something. Trent Williams is 100 years old. Debo, tons of tread on his tires. He's averaging like 2.7 yards per rush this year. I mean, they're just not the same team physically.
No, they're worn down. I mean, they still have opportunities here to get right, but it's against kind of a murderer's row. Like their schedule flips now. Like what the Cardinals had to start with, the Niners, they can't afford to slip up at all because they're taking on, the likes of the Lions and the Bills and the Packers. It's with a tremendously, like, relative to the Niners, undermanned roster. We'll see. Like, Kittle's supposed to return, but as you mentioned, Kyle Shanahan earlier today at his press conference said Brock Purdy's day-to-day with a shoulder. And then you got Nick Bosa, who's expected to miss time.
Their defense is a shell of itself when Bosa's not out there. Geno Smith looked like Kyler Murray in that fourth quarter. He's doing whatever he wanted. Yeah. If they don't have Nick Bosa, they're not beating Jordan Love and Josh Allen.
Well, that's the thing that the Cardinals need to look out for, is that mobility from Geno Smith. Like that can be something that can really kind of open some things up for the Seahawks offense that we've seen kind of terrorize the Cardinals in a couple losses this year is a dual threat.
I think the biggest thing, Bo, I'm sure you agree with this, if that game means something in week 18, then you should be scared of San Francisco because it means they got their act together and they're playing good football.
Exactly right. But you have a chance now, like as this division continues to be murky, below the Cardinals, as the Cardinals are up a game at 6-4, and you've got these 3, 5, and 5 teams. You have to take care of business against teams like Panthers, the Patriots. You can't have any slip ups there. If you just take care of business, you pretty much control your own destiny.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to find out what Jonathan Gannon's teams look like with expectations bestowed upon them. They're not flying under the radar anymore, but you know what?
Yeah.
Against the Jets and the Bears, like we sat here on this show after the Miami game, they were 4-4. And we would come on this show 2 weeks ago and say, well, they should be 3 weeks ago. They should be 6-4 entering the bye. Mm-hmm. But we're like, historically, the Cardinals, they blow games they're supposed to win. I don't care what Vegas said. The Cardinals were the better teams entering that game. What did the Cardinals do with expectations? They whooped the ever-loving hell out of both those teams.
Yeah.
So I am conditioned to think that that's how Gannon runs his operation here the next couple of weeks. Like, you're expected to beat Seattle, a middling team, do it twice. We'll see what happens in Minnesota. They better destroy Carolina and a bad, I don't care what they say, bad New England team. Like this team under JG, save for the Washington outing and the Packer outing in 2 years. Like, believe what Gannon puts on the field every Sunday. It's a product where the Cardinals typically are buttoned up and have their act together.
They have to. I don't think they understand that if they're not, that it's going to be a long day. Like, if they're not a disciplined team, if they don't win their one-on-ones, like, what the outcome's going to be a bad loss, and it's going to be even worse fallout as far as what is now going to be put on your plate to kind of correct what went wrong.
Yeah.
And like, I think a lot of people understand that in that locker room. And like Michael Wilson talked about it today, and like, he would not get too far ahead of himself. Like, you saw somebody in Michael Wilson, and we'll talk to him here shortly, not today, but soon on this podcast, like, about how focused this team is, and like the excitement of being in the thick of the NFC West, being atop the standings, but then also having to focus on what's right in front of you. Like, Michael Wilson, though, put it in perspective, is like, he hasn't been on a team that's been relevant in November, December since probably high school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's been on like 3-8 Stanford teams. The team last year, it was just getting Kyler Murray back at this point.
And I hate to ever use the term like earned, but this is an earned season for Cardinal fans to sit here and think about. I mean, best case scenario, we talked about it in the preseason. Like, this team make the playoffs as a wild card, right? To win the division and to have the kind of season that they're experiencing now, and to potentially, I don't want to say run away with the division, but to be leading it for most of the season and win it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the kind of season where, I mean, it's
starting 2-4.
Right. It's on par with what ASU football is doing, but just from a Cardinal standpoint, we don't have those.
I mean, it's way more impressive.
Yeah. We don't have these kind of seasons in Arizona. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I'm happy for our friends, Sun Devils podcast, but yeah, it's completely different. Like, think about the divisions that have been won by this team since they even moved to Arizona, right? Their first NFC West championship was in 2008. They were a middling team at 9-7 in a bad division, right? They went to the Super Bowl, of course. The next year, everybody assumed they win the division. They did it 10-6. Then you have to fast forward 2015. They should have won the division in 2014, but Carson Palmer got hurt. So they win it in 2015, but it was expected. This would be the first true, genuine, unexpected division title since they moved to Arizona. And to be picked almost universally to finish last and to steal it from San Francisco, like, we'll focus on the playoffs if and when they get there. It's almost like that's house money at that point. To be, as everybody is referring to, a year ahead of schedule and to win the NFC West, I mean, you can't put a price on what that would do from a pride standpoint for this fan base.
Oh,
and
man.
that's all because of Jonathan Gannon and Monty Osborne.
With the ability for the trajectory to continue to go that way, right? I mean, for the expectation to be ahead of this, as far as ahead of the expectations, like, this is, like I said last week, this is all house money right now that you're playing with. Now, like, there's still room for disappointment. Like, you've raised the expectation.
They could lose this weekend.
Yeah. Like, if you stumble against the Seahawks once, twice, like, you'll be humbled. Like, this league, has the ability to do a lot of teams, a lot of players. But they have the ability, like, this is the sweet spot, like, where they are before you really kind of ratchet up, the expectations of the fan base. Like, this is going to be a team that you saw year one was really well coached, just didn't have the talent. Now you're seeing, like, a good amount of talent with great coaching. And then next year, you're going to have great talent, great coaching, and the expectations are there. A schedule that should align with you. You've got, your non-NFC West schedule involves the AFC and NFC South. Like, that's going to make things a little bit easier than this schedule where you're facing the AFC East in the NFC North. But look, I mean, like, this is where you really should enjoy it. Like, 4-game win streak. Haven't seen one of those in forever, with the potential for it to be 5, to improve to potentially 3-0 in the division. And for the quarterback that you've been rooting along with for 6 seasons, and you've had to, put your reputation on the line defending him, and he's proving you right. Like, it's such a sweet spot, and things are coming to fruition for Cardinals fans that you've been waiting forever, for far too long for.
Gannon's so flipping good, man. Like, they're just so fortunate to have him here. Ja'Kai Whittingham poses a good question in the chat. If the Cardinals win the division, does JG win Coach of the Year? I don't think so. I think it's destined to go to Dan Campbell.
Dan Quinn or Campbell?
I think Dan Campbell. If they go like 16-1, they're destroying teams. I know the expectation was there, but Dan Quinn, like, sneaking into the playoffs, come on. I think JG deserves it over Dan Quinn if he wins the flipping NFC West.
Mike Tomlin and Dan Campbell are currently tied for favorite right now. I believe JG is like 4th or 5th.
Get Mike Tomlin out of it. Come on. I love Mike.
I don't know,
Tomlin.
man.
It's pretty impressive.
Johnny, I said before the season, and not to lament my old takes, but I said that this was going to be the year that he was going to not finish 500, and they're going to win the damn division. He's done an incredible job.
He's a great coach, but we already knew that. Can we I feel like it should be like, Campbell's never won it, or maybe he did last year. Maybe I'm an idiot and he won it last year.
Campbell is a product, like, Ben Johnson is the best offensive play caller in the league.
Let me see. Coach of the year. Did Dan Campbell win Coach of the Year last year? He wasn't the Coach of the Year last year. I feel like they give it to him this year.
Okay.
But long story short, I do not think Jonathan Gannon's going to win it, and I'm sure Jonathan Gannon doesn't give 2 Fs about that. Here's what I will say, though. unequivocally who should win an award after Kirk Cousins wet the bed yesterday. Kyler Murray should be the runaway favorite if the Cardinals win the West to win Comeback Player of the Year. If anybody wins it besides Kyler Murray, it's a farce, and you should never consume NFL honors ever again. Kirk Cousins, like, he's playing Carolina every other week.
Once they gave that award to the likes of Ryan Tannehill and Joe Flacco, that award is gross.
Kyler Murray shredded his knee, came back and played a handful of games last year, and is this year a top 3 quarterback. He's number 1 in the NFC in QBR. He should win that award. That'll be a joke if he doesn't win that award. Kirk Cousins and his hollow stats playing New Orleans, Carolina, and Tampa, and Kyler Murray's, potentially winning his division. That'll be a joke. I'll be furious if that happens. Kirk Cousins wins it. Trash. I know Kirk blew his knee out last year. He's a pocket quarterback. Achilles, whatever. You know who I saw in that game on Sunday against the Broncos, by the way? Flipping Michael Penix. Well, why did Michael Penix have to come in? Because Kirk Cousins is getting his butt whooped for 3 quarters. Kyler Murray's being pulled because they're blowing teams out. That's why we're seeing Clayton Tune. By the way, Michael Penix did not look good in that game. He looked really bad.
We got 1,000 people watching between Twitter and YouTube. We thank each and every one of you. Jump over, though, into the YouTube chat. It's on fire right now. It always is. So come on over, drop a like on this video, do wonders for the show. Cardinals community continues to grow. People are pumped about this team, excited to talk about it. Hit a like on this one, get some more in front of more eyes. Let's Cardinals fans who might not know about this show know about it. So thankful for all of you. But a show that we started talking about the Cardinals playoff odds, which haven't been this high since that 21 season. It's a great year to be part of the Red Sea, part of the Bird Gang, man.
Yanks 199 super chat. Missed the show, but shout out Geno for the assist. We were all Geno Smith fans yesterday, Yanks. First time he's ever beaten Niners as a member of the Seahawks. And again, made some plays with his feet on that last drive. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a big time player. We know that. And hopefully Garrett Williams can do a good job on him. DK Metcalf looks solid. They have a couple really, really high-end offensive players. I just like defensively, like Leonard Williams is good. And I haven't been able to key in on the D tackle they took from Texas this year. But for the most part, like, I feel like their defense has been pretty meh this year. Like they stink against the run.
Yeah. No, they haven't been great against the run at all. And there's some of those defensive secondary players that they had first year, like Woolen was awesome and he's taking a step back. And then you had Witherspoon last year, had such a good season. He hasn't been nearly as good as he was his rookie season. So yeah, they've had under McDonald, they've had some growing pains for sure. And, at points yesterday, the offense I felt like it was Geno Smith just throwing bombs down the field and not connecting on it. It looked like the guy was trying to run his old University of Washington with Michael Penix in the shotgun where he was last year. It was just like, there was just no rhythm to it.
Seattle's center retired Saturday.
Yeah.
And they still beat the Niners. Seattle's starting center, who's been solid for them, just up and retired.
Yeah.
And just this Seattle team, they're probably theoretically, they're probably going to win about 7.
They had zero. They had zero going for themselves until that final drive. They really did. Like the previous, 5 to 6 weeks where they were losing football games. And they were losing, a majority of that game, and they come back at the end. Like you can't let them create any kind of momentum for themselves. Like the Cardinals have an opportunity to go on the road and put down the Seahawks.
The Giants beat the Seahawks. Danny Dimes beat the Seahawks. Like, here are the teams the Seahawks have beat: Bo Nix week 1, Jacoby Brissett Patriots week 2 in overtime, Skylar Thompson week 3 Miami. And then you fast forward, they lose 3 straight. Then they beat Atlanta at Atlanta because we've found out the Falcons are huge frauds. They blew out Atlanta, and then they lost to Buffalo and the Rams, and then they beat the San Francisco 49ers. So, I mean, they're a very roller coaster team. But here's what I'll say: Geno Smith in all but 2 games this year has just thrown 1 touchdown or less. I mean, he just and I think multiple games this year, I think I'm counting at least half of them, he's thrown interceptions.
Yeah.
Like in his last 3 games, Geno Smith has thrown 5 interceptions to 3 touchdowns. Like he has not been good. So I'm hopeful that the Cardinals defensive coordinator Nick Rallis can continue that mojo that we have seen at State Farm Stadium, like seamlessly. Is this defense, and we'll have a ton of time this week to preview it. Can this defense continue this wave? And is it just specific to State Farm Stadium? I hope not, because I think Geno Smith is prime for a multiple turnover game. Baron Browning gets another week and a half to practice. JG mentioned that as such today.
Yeah, I mean, Baron Browning was working out with Coach Rob Rodriguez for the bye week. He was not off, and he said he had some excellent work that he put in. We haven't seen a pick since Jordan Love in week 6?
That was thrown directly at him.
Yeah, Sean Murphy-Bunting, right? Have we not seen? We've seen fumbles and fumble recoveries, right?
It's just when you don't have a pass rush, it's hard to intercept passes. Plus, they've played, quarterbacks, and Caleb turns the ball over. But like Aaron Rodgers, say we want about, he's not throwing interceptions this year. Justin Herbert's not throwing picks. That's
the thing, that Caleb doesn't turn the ball over.
No, yeah,
he just doesn't throw. He doesn't throw, and he just checks down.
Like Tua in that game we were at Miami, what Tua was trying to do at fumbling the football. Geno Smith is actively trying to give you possession, just giving them to you. The problem with San Francisco is, like, I watched that game yesterday. Like, could come back to haunt me. But Christian McCaffrey looks slow and just kind of disheveled as a runner. I mean, have you guys looked at Christian McCaffrey's numbers since he's come back? It's pretty average. I almost posted them on Twitter, but I was afraid it was going to come back to haunt me. McCaffrey yesterday, McCaffrey against this atrocious front seven for Seattle. McCaffrey yesterday, 19 carries, 79 yards. It's like 4.0 yards per carry. The week before, 13 for 39. He's just been average. And you might say, well, that's not bad. This guy should have been the MVP of the NFL last year. Hasn't found the end zone once. Like, theoretically, he could get better.
They brought him back from having, like, cutting edge, like medical technology,
like Denmark or
Germany.
They were
right?
People were shooting him up.
Right. And he's doing that overseas. And then next thing you know, his practice window's open and he's activated. They gave him 0 runway. I mean, what'd you expect? Because the Niners, they realized that they needed to get a couple wins before going up against this tough schedule that they got coming up.
How'd that work out? Not looking good. Another super chat here. T Cleary, $4.99. Sorry, I'm later. No apologies necessary.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
You made it. And you can rewatch the show, which is great.
We're fired up to be back.
I love the people that rewatch.
How are you? I do too. How are you feeling about gearing up for this stretch run the next 7 weeks? Like, are you mentally, physically prepared to do it? Like, I thought about that this weekend. I'm like, it could be the biggest 7-week stretch, hopefully, this show's ever had. The Little Fanboy Podcast.
I got my pom-poms. I got them all restrung, or whatever you do with your pom-poms. Like, they're ready to go. They're ready to go for the next 7 weeks. Like, Jonathan Gannon mentioned today that he and his players had a bunch of honey-do lists that they had to deal with in their downtime. I was dealing with the same thing. And as soon as I started, like, check one off the box, I was like, all right, I'm ready to get back to work. I'm ready to talk about this team the rest of the way.
No one's more locked in than this podcast, than this show, than these 3 bros, plus Craig Morgan.
Right.
Britton Golden texted me yesterday after that Niner loss and was like, Cardinals are winning 11 games. And I'm like, I love this energy.
I love that energy.
And he said, Cardinals are winning 11 games. I'm like, yes, they are. Like this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Give us your prediction. How many games are the Cardinals winning in the comments? Not the chat, but in the comments below. Okay, give us a comment of how many games the Cardinals will win, need to win the NFC West, because I think it changes by the week. And we could be sitting here, Bo. Cardinals beat the Seahawks. The Niners lose like they're supposed to, and the Rams lose like they're supposed to. We were talking about a 2-game lead in the NFC West. Are we that fortunate?
2-game lead with 6 to go. I mean, that would be pretty unbelievable with, the teams within striking distance. Their schedule is in a tough spot. That's unreal. But look, the Cardinals can control their own destiny no matter what, with the lead that they have right now. And then everybody else muddled up at 5-5. But we're talking about this team every day. We're going to talk to a couple coordinators tomorrow. Nick Rallis, Drew Petzing. Also, we've got Are we getting back on with Mina Kimes tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Mina Tuesdays. Yes.
Okay. Mina
If you guys
Kimes.
are into that kind of thing.
Yeah, if you're into the ESPN analyst who's been kind of spreading the gospel of this team that we cover for all season long. So
our best friend.
That's right. This is the quartet.
In the whole world.
This is the quartet right here. It's Johnny, it's Damon, it's Bo, it's Mina. That's the squad, and Craig. No room for Shane Diefenbach in that crew. But in all of you.
We tried, but Mina was like, no, get Shane out. I don't really like that guy.
He knows fake Seahawks fans when she sees him, no doubt.
So we'll be previewing this, this huge NFC West showdown, plus, how the Cardinals got here. Mina Kimes, tomorrow's PHNX Cardinals. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube, and of course, wherever you find podcasts. We got some exclusive content up there. My conversation with FTM Fantasy's Aaron Schatz, PFF's John Costco, talking about why Kyler Murray is such a scheme fit in Drew Petzing's offensive system, and also talking about Garrett Williams, Cardinals' best cornerback since Patrick Peterson. Find all that content right here, PHNX Sports. For Johnny Venerable, Damon, Dawg, I'm Bo Brack. PHNX_Cardinals, Twitter, Instagram. Have a great rest of your Monday. Talk to you soon.
We all silly like the mayor.